Hi, this is Greg Lui-Kwan. I'm here with Dick Brewer and Derek Hine, two legends in surfing design history. This is Dick Brewer, and he's one of the master surfboard designers of the 20th century.
How do you do? It's nice to see Jock Sutherland, who was riding a board I shaped for the Kahanamoku surf team when he won the Kahanamoku contest in 1967. It was nice to see Jock again. It's a beautiful thing here, just to see a lot of old friends and Ricky Gregg and a bunch of guys that I don't see anymore because they're not in the lineup. But the hot guys that want to ride Waimea, they still get Brewers, and so I'm in contact with all them, but not the old guys that all went over the hill. It's just the young guys that I seem to know anymore. But hey, thank you very much for having me here.
Dick, I want to ask you a few questions. Dick, you came to Hawaii and formed Surfboards Hawaii in December of 1959. Does that sound about right?
61 is when I took out the business license and trademarked the name until the state of Hawaii.
And from then, you worked at some of the top shapers in Hawaii, Bob Shepard, Mike Diffenderfer, and they both shaped under the Surfboards Hawaii label?
They did shape a few boards under that label.
And in 1965 or so, you became well known as one of the top big wave gun shapers, and you did a line of signature model boards for Hobie Surfboards. Is that right?
Yes, I did for Hobie.
And where was your shop? Where were you shaping those boards in 1965?
It was in Wahiawa. Dick Metz rented me a little shop on one of the back streets of Wahiawa. I shaped, glassed, sanded, and glossed every board. At that time, I wouldn't let anybody touch a Brewer. I thought they were all mentally retarded. I've had a high opinion of myself all my life.
And I think many people have a high opinion of you as well. But you also shaped for some of the biggest names in big wave surfing in that era, like Buzzy Trent and some other guys. Can you tell us about the people who surfed your boards over the years, including into the Lopez, Abalera, and Jock Sutherland era?
Well, to go on and on and on about it, you've got to remember back in the early 60s, over half the boards ridden at Waimea Bay were Brewers, so I could throw a whole bunch of names at you, but it would be just customers to me.
The guys like Jackie Eberly.
Jackie Eberly really rode some really big waves. For backside, he was a real hero. And Butch Van Arsdale and Fred Van Dyke, Peter Cole, they all had Brewers.
Dick, I want to tell you something. Back when many years ago, back in the 70s, it was my opinion that Surfer Magazine did not give enough credit to you and Al Chapman and a bunch of the Hawaii guys who were at the forefront of surfboard design. The board that you shaped for Reno Abalera for the 1968 Puerto Rico Royal Contest, for example, to me represents the very, very beginning of modern shortboard surfing.
I always wondered what happened. Hobie told me at one of the surf expos, he said, "Dick, you should have worked for me." And I said, "Well, I did for a year." When I asked him to give Hackman a salary, he said, "We only pay wages here. You're fired." I really remember that. But Hobie said, "We were all afraid you're going to take over the surfing world. So we pretended like you didn't exist." And I asked Hobie, I said, who's we? And he said, everybody.
What he was referring to...
It still goes on today.
Well, to some extent, I think they've not been able to. I think the Dana Point Mafia were not able to snuff out history entirely because the good work that you did and your meeting, particularly in December of 1967 with Bob McTavish, I think made you someone that they couldn't ignore.
Well, I had to move to Maui and get away from Waimea Bay. My boards dominated there so much it made everybody jealous. So I went with Jerry and Reno. I went to Maui and built smaller guns for smaller, more perfect waves.
Kind of like this board here?
Kind of like this board right here.
Well, that's all I got, Dick. I just want to thank you for your contributions for the development of the modern surfboard. And I think many of the modern commentators have acknowledged your contributions after all these decades. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mahalo.